How's it going, YouTube? Squeaker Gaming HD here today, and today I'm here to talk to you about the solution that I have come up with for us to be able to play our retro consoles on our living room TV. So how this all started is my wife bought me a GameCube for Christmas, which is super awesome, and she also bought us a Nintendo 64 a while back as well. When we got the N64, we ended up picking up a composite to HDMI adapter, which if you know anything about trying to hook up older consoles on modern TVs, you know these are pretty trash. They do work, but from my understanding, they're used more so for hooking up like VCRs to modern TVs instead of game consoles. I only found that out after doing a bunch of research into what can actually make it work to plug into our modern TV. But after I got the N64, you know, I started looking into CRTs, because CRTs are the way to go for retro gaming, right? This one right here is a Sony Trinitron, but it only shows in green color, which is kind of cool in its own right, but I kind of want to see the whole color spectrum. I did buy one from a local pawn shop that was a bigger LG one, but I didn't realize until after driving away that the only connection into it was an RF antenna connection, which from my understanding is the worst way to actually display games. I had also looked on Facebook Marketplace to no avail. So after all that fuss with trying to find a suitable CRT, I figured why not just try and make it work on our living room television so my wife and I and friends can sit on the couch and actually just play it on the main TV. So upon some research, I discovered the Retrotink 2X Pro and purchased that. I ended up getting that one because specifically for the GameCube, there is a lot of options that you can use. Things like the Carby, the Bitfunks. There's this one that I'm going to flash on screen that plugs into both ports on your GameCube, if your GameCube is a DOL001 and actually has both of those ports. My GameCube's a DOL101, which basically means it just doesn't have the digital AV out plug in the back, and those aforementioned converters primarily use that one. But on top of that, I actually want to use it for the N64 as well, so getting one of those wouldn't have really made a lot of sense anyway. So with all of that out of the way, we're going to wait for the Retrotink to show up, and we're going to see how it works. It arrived, featuring Mento. So yeah, this only took 9 days to get to me here in Alaska, which was pretty impressive, seeing as it got into the state on the 8th, but didn't actually get delivered to my P.O. box till the 14th. Shout out the United States Postal Service. I originally wanted to order the 2X Mini, but they didn't have it in stock at the time, so that's why I ordered the 2X Pro. And I was going to talk about the comparisons and stuff, and when I went back to look at Retrotink's website, I noticed that as of January 24th, 2026, the 2X Mini and the 2X Pro are both out of stock. So that is kind of a bummer if you're watching this video and it sways you one way or the other. But, I mean, I'm sure if you check back regularly, sometime in the last week and a half or so, the 2X Mini was in stock, as well as the 2X Pro. But either way, the reason I was going to go for the Mini was because I wasn't going to use component cables, and I was going to use the S-Video cable. But either way, that maybe will be useful in the future. But basically, the 2X Pro supports component, whereas the Mini only supports S-Video and composite. Along with that, the Pro has scanline mode, which emulates the visual effect of CRT displays by blanking every other line. I wrote the full definition. Makes it look like a CRT, which it does look kind of cool. And also listed under the 2X Pro, but not the 2X Mini, is that it says digital video output ensures compatibility with modern displays. So honestly, it's probably better that I didn't order the 2X Mini, because maybe the 2X Mini would not be compatible with modern displays. But along with that, and I guess a bit of a disclaimer, the 2X Pro doesn't upscale to 4K. That's why I went with it over the 4K Pro or the 4K CE. And the reason for that is one that I'm stealing from Retro RGB's video. One of his videos that's going to be in the description, but basically our TV isn't a $3,000 mini OLED top of the line 4K TV, and it wouldn't really make sense to get a $750 4K converter for a TV that costs less than half of that. I believe our TCL was about $330, somewhere in that range. Also, during my research on trying to find an upscaler to use with our living room TV, I came across this thing called a Retroscaler 2X, and to put it bluntly, it's definitely a Temu Wish.com knockoff of the Retrotink 2X Pro specifically, but it is also a third of the price just about. So if this video gets, we'll say 10 likes, I'll buy that one and then compare it to this one. Apologies for making you guys watch me struggle open that box, but hopefully you think Memento's cute. But either way, as you can see, when you finally get into the package, if you order the S-Video cable, it's right there next to the Retrotink 2X Pro box. It's not an OEM cable or anything like that, but it's decent quality, and it's been working great so far. That's another thing too. I've been meaning to record the rest of this video, but I've just been having a lot of fun actually using the Retrotink. Been playing a lot of Need for Speed Most Wanted on the GameCube, which also, if you're going to play Need for Speed Most Wanted, you can get it on the 360, which for sure is going to look better, but I just have a lot of nostalgia with it on the GameCube. It's one of the first video games I ever remember playing with my brothers growing up. The shrink wrap around it was a good distraction to get Mento out of the way finally. You do kind of have to shake it around and get it to drop out of the bottom. But once you do that, it's got some nice padding in there. And there's your Retrotink 2X Pro. As you can see, we got the S-Video port, the component/composite ports. On the side, you have these two switches. The one on the left is the mode switch, and you can switch between line 2X and pass-through. The other switch is comb, which can be set to retro or auto. And then you have these two little blue buttons on the back next to your HDMI and, unfortunately, micro USB port. The two little blue buttons are your input and filter buttons. Input you click through for S-Video, composite, component, and filter. The standard mode, I believe, is just pass-through. There's a smoothing filter, and then there's also the CRT scanline filter on it as well. Then on the bottom, you got a nice little Retrotink 2X Pro sticker logo with a couple bunnies. And the rest of the box comes with a sticker. Some of the glue from the foam inside of the box did kind of get on the sticker, but oh well, still a cool sticker. Probably throw it on the water bottle. And then under the sticker is a nice micro USB cable that is braided. So I will say, while it is kind of unfortunate that it's not a USB-C plug-in, at least the cable provided is really nice. It's about 3 feet long, I'd say, and it's got a little Retrotink bunny on it. So yeah, here's some riveting video of me plugging in the S-Video into the back of the GameCube. And yeah, and then other side, of course, plugging it into the Retrotink 2X Pro. It was kind of an embarrassingly long time of me figuring out how to get in there. First time I ever used an S-Video cable, but figured it out. Then, of course, the HDMI and the micro USB. Plugged the micro USB into the TV port. Freed up a wall outlet, and yeah, works well. It lights up yellow. I believe yellow is composite, white is S-Video, and then component is green. You just have to filter through the input buttons, and that's why it's not going to look right when you first boot it up with whatever. That's why it's in like grayscale. Just got to filter through the input to get to what you need, and among messing with the comb and pass-through stuff like that. Alright, got some side-by-side comparisons on the screen for y'all, comparing the shitty composite adapter to the Retrotink 2X Pro. For the comparisons, I did Super Mario 64 on the N64, and then Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube. They're not very technical, it's just a camera pointing at a TV. So I'm going to link a couple of videos in the description of videos that are going to have much better in-depth analysis on why the 2X Pro is better and how it's better and how it looks. It'll just be a better comparison for you guys to check out. So go show them some love. Just wanted to make a video in layman's terms and show my experience with it. My experience is very happy with it. It's yeah, it's been super fun. Had the Retrotink for a couple weeks now and been playing a lot of Need for Speed Most Wanted, like I said earlier. Next, definitely I think I'm gonna move on to Luigi's Mansion. That being said, I know I gotta finish Ocarina of Time on the 64, and of course Super Mario 64. But yeah, overall, I'd say money well spent. It does feel steep for it to be $140 plus the $8 S-Video cable. It's just super nice to be able to make these consoles work on our living room TV, how it's meant to be played. It's just, you know, now people don't really have CRTs. It was genuinely harder for me to try and find a CRT to play our old consoles on than it was just to buy this adapter. I think part of that, I mean, being in Fairbanks, Alaska, there's just not a lot of people, so it makes sense that there's just not a lot of CRTs and such. But I'd say money well spent. I hope this gave you guys some insight. But with that, thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. The links are down in the description below. And as always, I will see you guys later. Peace.